magic.
It is magic. You need a little patience with magic as well, apparently.
Even when it doesn't feel like magic, it's still happening.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing. It's like how many times when something doesn't show up the way you would like it to show up, you go to and frustration instead of, okay, magic, show us. Show us the magic. Please, universe, show us the magic. So I'm in Australia, in Melbourne at the moment. Dane's about to start his ESB. And apparently the internet in my hotel room is shit unless I'm sitting on the ground in a yoga position in front of here. That's what we found. Excuse me. So we're here to talk about magic.
Yes.
Do you have the book?
What?
Do you have the book to show and tell? I forgot to bring it.
I don't have it to show and tell, but I did a sneaky thing and got it. You can get it on Amazon or like any of like the ebook services. So I did that because I was going to say it's your new favorite book right now.
Yes.
And I love Access because it's actually published a long time ago. And I started reading before we came on here and I'm like, holy shit.
I know. So what book are we referring to? It's called Magic, You Are It, Be It. And it's by Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, and Dr. Dain Heer, the co-creator. So Magic, You Are It, Be It. So yeah, what'd you get from it? Because I'm like reading it too, just going, and it's on Audible as well. It's in Dane's voice, which is great. And I'm driving the car, like listening to it and reading bits and pieces of it. And it's like, God, this was written so many years ago. And it's phenomenal.
And I've read it a million times, but this time reading it, the part that was like, holy shit, is that you can create so much by control. You can like control everything into existence and you'll be super successful. And there's a whole other way of being with it where you can actually receive and it doesn't have to be hard. And it's like, you can ask and receive. And that is like, I know, you know, if you've done Access for any length of time, you're like, yes, this makes sense. And somehow it's going in a totally different way. So regardless of if you've ever read the book, get the book, read it again, or get it for the first time because it's also the other thing that I thought was so cool is it's not about tricks and, you know, there's so much out there where it's like, oh, if you can predict the future or bend a fork or do something like crazy and levitate, like all these like so-called magic things. The way that they're talking about it in this book is it's really like this, the magic of consciousness. So I would love to know from you, why is it your favorite book all of a sudden?
Oh my goodness. Well, gosh, so much. But right at the beginning of January when we were in South Africa and I had a conversation with Gary and Dain, we were at this, beautiful place. And one of the things that Gary said, and he's probably said it a million times, but when he said it, I was just like, what? And he said, we're always looking for these miracles and these magic, right, outside of us. And he said, do you know what one of the greatest miracles is you being you? Like, that's magic. And I started to be, South Africa is such a beautiful place, like with the land and the animals, etc., to also discover that. And as I went running every day. And as I was running every day, I was just like, God, I'm magic. Like, I'm magic. And we so often go to how we're less than, like we're so keen to go, oh, no, or whatever. What if we flipped it? And what if we started looking at the greatness of ourselves? It doesn't matter if anyone gets it or not. It's like, but if you actually acknowledge the greatness of you and like step it up. And the one thing I noticed in this book too, Megan, is, the stories that Gary and Dain are talking about, I was talking to Dain yesterday and, this is when they were traveling economy to Australia and, and all of that. It's ages ago. And they were acknowledging these like little things that showed up that they asked for and the magic showed up. And I said to Dain yesterday, where have we become complacent that we've stopped acknowledging all of those little things about the magic that shows up? And we keep expecting magic to be this like kaboom, and it can be. But if you look at your day and go, how many magical things showed up today that I haven't acknowledged, and start acknowledging all of that? Because as you acknowledge it, it just expands. It's like more shows up. And literally, like, I've been practicing being polite with the universe. It's like,
I love that.
it's like, thank you, universe. And it's like, well, I had this conversation with Gary about that too. And he was like, ask, please, universe, show me. Please, universe, show me the magic today. Please, universe, show me more magic. And be grateful.
Yeah.
And hey, thank you for everything that has shown up. And also the piece that I love that you spoke about, which I know I read, I think it's on my social media on Instagram. I read a little paragraph out. I almost know it off by heart now, though, because it is about what you said about not controlling. And I remember Gary said to me about 2 years ago, you've changed the world by controlling the schedule. Now, what if you just change the world? And I was like, holy shit. And
yeah, go ahead. Well, I was gonna say, I've heard you tell that story so many times, and I was like I get where you created, everything by control, but I wasn't actually getting there's control that you can kind of see, but there's a control that's like a power, it's like it is a power that's not just necessarily details, but that's for me after reading this. I think I can read it.
Okay, cool.
Because I was like, that's where I thought I was being magic, was in this control. And then as you read a little bit more, you're like, oh wait, there's that's not magic. That's just controlling fucking powerhouse. And there's this whole other magical, space that we be. So let me see. Let me really quickly. Sorry. He tells this story about how he was in real estate and he used to close all these escrow agreements, and he was he was basically making sure that every single month he closed an escrow agreement. And then he went to this conference. He thought he had failed. Comes to find out he closed more than anyone else had ever done it. He said, but I knew I did it by control, and control meant making sure that everything went exactly the way I wanted it to go. I was on top of everything. I never failed to call the escrow officer every day. I didn't know that 25% of the houses go into escrow don't close. I didn't know that 90% of the agents give the papers to the escrow officer and never talk to them again until closing. Huh? How can you control things if you don't talk to people every day? My point in bringing this up is to say I was really good at control. And what I've had to learn over time is to not be in control and instead follow the energy. And so it's I don't know, maybe I'm just having a massive aha right now, but
no, I'm having an aha from this whole book. So, and the reason why, Megan and I are actually doing this little live here too is because if you go to the link below, I'm going to do a class on this. And you don't have to have read the book, because I get some languages it's not translated, but I would highly recommend reading it or even listening to it. And even listening to it, if you can't speak English, is okay. Yeah. It's a 3-day class, and an hour each day, 3 days in a row that I'm doing this, and you can find the link below. But for me too, it's I've been using Access Consciousness tools for 21 years. And I call it baby access, because you get this new awareness and you're like, what? And it's now looking at magic in a different way. And I love that that's the piece that you picked out about control, because the piece that I was going to talk about was, and this is off the top of my head, he talks about how, when you're controlling, when you control everything, it's you basically limit everything that can show up. But if you choose from not controlling, then you get to receive. And the piece that I really am trying to explore at the moment with my life is the magic is in receiving. Cool. And I'm looking at these two aspects. I tend to pick these tools and get my OCD and ADHD, on them and just run them. I said to Dane yesterday on the plane, we're flying down, I said, can you do me a favor, which I'm probably going to hate that I'm asking you for this. But I said, every time you've nudged me about the rightness of my point of view and being righteous, I'd be like, but it helped me change a lot of things. And I said, can we have a safety word or something every time you notice I'm doing control? Do you want me to do a kookaburra noise, a cuckoo? And I was like, yeah, sure. Do a bird sound. So it's you're doing control, because I'm realizing it's coming up in the smallest of areas. And like you, Megan, it's you've sort of gone, no, I've changed all of this. I've worked this out. I've manipulated, I've dominated. You've created amazing shit from controlling. What if you changed it and flipped it and you started receiving?
Yep.
and following the energy, as you said. And I'm like, oof, let's go.
And that can be like, even if you just tap into that, like anywhere in your life where you're like, whatever it is you think you want and you desire, and you're like, I can go and I will get it. But if it's like, I love how you said polite with the universe. That's so brilliant, because people even try and control the fucking universe, like, fuck, they do the power with the universe. But it's like, if you were to just ask, okay, like, I love, there's a home play thing in the like first chapter that's like, go back and look at everything that you've ever asked for that has actually shown up, and start acknowledging where you'd ask for it. Because so many times people are like, oh yeah, well, that was luck, or I didn't do that, somebody else did that for me, or whatever that is. But it's like that vulnerability to ask and receive there's a level of vulnerability there that I'm really looking at in my life too, that is kind of uncomfortable, but also very exciting,
Hey, that's actually a good thing to bring up too, is how you go to the uncomfort. Because there's been a few things like showing up lately that I said to Gary the other day, I'm sort of like, I get this excitement, but at the same time I go, ooh, and it's like, this uncomfort. But I've also learned that when I'm uncomfortable, it's because I have a point of view.
Right.
And I'm not willing to let everything go. So it's like that, we will be talking about it, presumptive realities, but it's like everything that you're presuming about something. And basically it's like, if you're uncomfortable, it's like, what are you not willing to let go of?
Totally.
And that's the control factor too, which I'm looking at. It's like when Gary asked me this question, he said, what do you, what control is sort of you're holding on to so that doesn't allow you to change? And I said, oh, it's also though about me not willing to let go of certain things. And I went, oh, that is change. So it's like, what if we could wake up and be willing for the entire world to change, be willing for our entire world to change? It's like, what else is possible? And as you spoke about this too, it's like the energy is, you sort of, you have a bigger world than most. So, but it's like this, and it's like, some of you have a world like this, some of you have a world like this. But if you literally let go of control, your world is massive, like being out of control. And it's like, wow, what can I receive today? What magic can show up?
Yay!
I'm excited. I can talk about this forever, but we will.
Well, it's so cool that, because you did a telecall on Beyond Utopian Ideals a while ago, and it was so, because you can get a book and read it and you'll do your thing with it, but it was so cool to have a call with you to go through the different things, like to read something, even if you can't read it because it's not in your language, that's cool, but to like be able to actually like go through the tools and see what other people contribute, what you have to contribute, Simone, because you're phenomenal at like getting. Sometimes you need someone else to ask you a question, to see what with something that your controlling mind has already decided that you don't need whatever. It's so funny.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I did that Utopian Ideals for me too, because I was like, this book is freaking brilliant. And if you don't know about it, it's called Utopian Ideals. And it talks about a lot of the construct reality that we create. And we create this construct reality with relationships, business, money, bodies, everything. So I was like, ooh, I want to play with this and pull this apart. So yeah, I did a call on it. And I'm the same with this one. Magic, you are it, be it. I'm like, ooh, I want to play with this magic and pull it apart. And what else can we receive? Because I don't know, Megan, it's like interesting. Recently, I had a meeting with my COI, which is my conglomeration of idiots, the people that I work with who are absolutely wonderful. And I was like, okay, I'm getting bored with a few things. When I get bored, it's like, okay, we're going to amp it up. Like, what else is possible?
Yeah.
Like, what if you actually started stepping outside of your comfort zone so that you could be more? And as you be more, you literally have more. And it's not about the having of, oh, I've got a new car, or I've got this. You can have that too. It's like, what if you could have more of you each day? Like more happy, more ease, more joy. It's like, we tend to disregard that. And, I was talking to Dane I've been watching this show on Amazon Prime, and there was this scene, it's called Jack Ryan. And there's this scene, and the guy who's like about to take over Russia says, Russia used to be the most feared country in the world. And they're all like, yes. And he said, we're taking that back. And I was lying in bed going, what the fuck? Why do countries want to be the most feared in the world?
right.
Like, it's so much about control. And we were on the plane and I went, imagine if a country went, let's be the most magical country in the world.
Wow.
Like, what? Yeah.
That's the world
Wouldn't you
I have. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Dear universe, can we please have that?
Dear universe, please and thank you already. Can we please
have, and whatever else of politeness that I have not been being with you, I apologize dearly.
Oh, that is too
I'm
cute.
being a bitch. I'm taking it back and I'm asking politely.
Please, thank you. Yeah, but the funny thing is, as we talk about that, we do have this magical world.
Yeah.
And there's too many controlling people that get in the way. And it's like, what if, I'm working on it. How do I get out of control and be something different in the world as well? So I can be more like, what does that look like?
Yep.
Emoji. Let's go. Let's explore, So yeah.
Mind blown and don't know emoji right now.
Exactly. So anyway, yeah.
Well, it's so cool. I just have to say, because you're also, if you're watching this, you're on Facebook somewhere, or we've shared it somewhere else. So welcome to Magic. But it's so cool because you are gifting this call, the first call, to everyone who is a facilitator of any kind with Access Consciousness. And, I work with all sorts of stuff. And when you chose that, I was like, like, it was just kind of like a automatic, okay, let's get all the stuff in place. And now when talking to you, I'm like, holy shit, this can change the entire, the world, B, their businesses. Because if even if you just start looking at the magic that you be and start asking for more, that changes. I think we have 10,000 facilitators in Access Consciousness around there. What if all 10,000 of us started actually being the magic we be?
Yeah. And that's why I was gifting it, and maybe I need my hopes and dreams bars on, but I was like, we can literally create these magical businesses. And something I've been asking for this year is, what would it take for Access Consciousness to be the largest company in the world? And a few people looked at me like, have you got a screw loose? A couple of kangaroos loose in the top paddock, not the brightest crayon in the box sort of thing. And I went, why could it not be? If you look at it, if every single, and let me tell you a quick story about this too, because if every single business in the world was using Access Consciousness tools, literally asking questions, then we could be the largest company in the world. It doesn't have to look the way we think it's going to look. And the book that I'm doing this class based on, Magic You Are It, Be It, years ago, I walked into this restaurant with Gary, and this waiter goes, are you Gary Douglas? And he said, yes, and he goes, I've just read your book, Magic You Are It, Be It. And it was really cute. We sat down, and then the guy came over to take our order. Gary orders. I'm sitting there with the menu, and he looks at me, and I said, oh, just give me a sec. And then I was looking, and he went, are you asking your body what it would like to eat? and I went, yeah, I am. And he went, oh, I read that from the book. And just that one tool, and I went, can you imagine if every waiter and waitress in the world, when instead of, taking your order, they went, hey, what would your bodies like to eat? And it was empowering people to have a look at what their bodies would like to eat instead of however we friggin' order food, And I'm like, that one magical tool, asking your body what it would like to eat.
Yeah.
We can be the largest company in the world. That's my ask.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I remember, when I first started working with you, so if you are, a facilitator, anyone actually listening to this, there's access tools you find all over the place, right? We've got the clearing statement. I'm sure you've seen all of it. I remember I had a meeting with you or something, and we had our computer, and you just started basically doing the 1, 2, 3 that we have. And I'm like, wait, in business, you're also using the magic? Oh, okay. I didn't know, thought we were being very businessy right now. I didn't know we were also doing magic within the business. So
isn't that funny? Yeah. So it's like, how many areas of your life have you excluded magic, thinking magic can only show up in certain areas?
Yeah.
And everything at that is redestroy and uncreate it. Times good, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, which you can find out more on theclearingstatement.com. If you have never heard of it before, it's magic.
It's literally magic, literally a magic wand that you can just carry around
Yes.
with you all the time.
Yes.
So, okay, so the call is actually starting very soon in 12 days. It's on February 22nd or 23rd if you're where Simone is in Australia. Check the time and date link because you got to find out where it is for you. And it is 3 calls. And you know, with everything that's changed over time, that telecalls are no longer like on the phone; they're on Zoom. But we haven't really found another name for them. Gary says they're quickies for your life. So it's back to back 3 days in a row, and it's just so cool to deep dive into magic. So
Magic. So
thank you for
thank
coming
you so
on.
much, Megan, for being on here with me.
If you are on here and you're like, where do I get the book? You can actually search it anywhere. It's like on all of the bookstores, but we'll also put a link in the comments if you can't find it. Get the book, come on the call, and it's anyone can come on. There's no prerequisite either. So, which is
And
awesome.
it's on Audible too, because I don't know about you, but nowadays I'm sitting down reading a book. I'm like, how did I used to read so many books, and now I don't know. Something's changed. I love listening to them now because you can go for a run, you can drive, whatever, and it's Dane's beautiful voice too. So,
Cool.
so I've got both, you know.
That's
yes.
awesome.
So thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
And maybe I'll see you guys there. And if not, it's like just get the book and just even ask. If you do nothing else, like if you come on a class, great. If you get the book, great. If you do nothing else, just ask for, hey, dear universe, show me some magic today. Because you're allowed to receive. I'm giving you full permission to receive.
You heard it here today. Yeah. You're allowed to receive.
It's an auspicious moment. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.